Today we're building our version of these modern Adirondack chairs that sell for $4,000 on Modern Builds. Design Within Reach sells these modern Adirondack chairs for $3,995, which is a lot. I totally like the look though, and that's why I want to make my own. Each of these popsicle stick inspired chairs cost about $50 worth of 2x10s from Home Depot, and I started by running them through the planer. After this was done, my boards came out to just over 1.25 inches thick. The first pieces I decided to cut are the 4 leg pieces. The front 2 legs are about 22 inches long, and the back legs are closer to 36 inches long. At this point in the project, I cut these pieces a couple of inches oversized, and I'll trim them to their final length later. And next, I need to put one rounded popsicle stick end on each of my leg pieces. And there's a few different ways of doing this. For both of my cutting methods, I'll need a compass, and I made one out of a paint stir stick. I drilled 2 holes separated by 3¼ inches, that's half the width of my board, and I used a screw as my pivot point so that I could use a pencil in the other hole and create that radius. The first way I'm going to show cutting this end is with a jigsaw. Jigsaws are great for cutting a curve, just make sure you're not putting tension on the blade because it will get out of square. I cut really close to the line, that way I could come back with the random orbit sander and clean everything up, and especially for outdoor furniture, this totally gives you a clean, rounded end. And there's no expensive tools involved. That looks really clean. And if you wanted to go with an even simpler tool palette for this project, you could even use the circular saw to cut this curve. By making multiple straight cuts around this radius, and then using an aggressive sandpaper, bring that material to your line. This takes a little bit more time, but it's nice that the blade is square to the material. But at the end of the day, I didn't get much deflection with my jigsaw, so I preferred that method. Regardless though, if you do end up using the circular saw method, a more aggressive sander, like this disc sander, makes the job a lot quicker. Another upside is this has a 90-degree table to reference so that you know you're sanding square. So even with the jigsaw, this is a great addition. In fact, this makes me want to get a big 12-inch disc sander. And the way that I'm reverse engineering this project is all of these pictures with reference angles and measurements that I printed off. I know the short leg sits at about a 15 or 75-degree angle. And then this long piece is something like a 26-degree angle. And right here where the boards meet, there needs to be a 103 or 104-degree angle. So I'll mark that line. And below, I'll leave the 2 websites that I use to find my reference angles and measurements for my boards. They're pretty cool tools. And now I know this 15-degree corner needs to meet on this edge of the wood. And up here, I want a 3.5-inch reveal. And if this corner is right, it should read 77 degrees. That's literally perfect. And once I had that figured out, I used my pencil to mark the lines that I needed to cut with my circular saw. I just took each cut slow and cut right in the center of my line. And to attach these boards, I'm going to use glue and screws, but I'm going to recess my screws. That way I can eventually backfill those holes with dowels, and it'll look like through dowel joinery instead of just screws. It's a little more classy. Each leg assembly goes together the same way, but they do need to be mirror images of each other. And if you need to, you can clamp these boards down while you screw. And now we've got our 2 assemblies, and the next thing we're going to cut is our stretcher going across the front. And this moment is where I realized I did something wrong. This is early in the project, but I think I already made a mistake. This front end of the long leg is supposed to extend to the front edge of the short leg. And then I would have like a 3.5-inch stretcher right here on the bottom. And I hope this still looks good, but now I'm gonna do a big piece as a stretcher, and I'm actually gonna carve out the notch that our slat boards are gonna rest on, rather than having that narrower stretcher. Fingers crossed it looks good. Let's try. Now, one thing that I don't necessarily recommend doing is this angled plunge cut at 15 degrees. It's not the safest thing in the world to do, but just make sure that you're safe while you're building. I used a decent amount of glue because I figured this end grain was porous and I didn't want it to dry out before the glue got a chance to cure. I clamped this stretcher in place and then screwed it all together with 2.5-inch long screws. and it really did end up looking nice. That's a lot of clamps. And my bad, I cut this a little bit too far on the back side with the jigsaw, but that's what they make wood filler for. Let's keep moving. Now I need to mark a line for my seat slats, and I'm gonna want the angle to look something like that. I'll check that angle, and it says it is 10 degrees. I marked that line with my pencil, and that's gonna be the bottom edge of my slats. This looked a lot like the reference picture. Even though this design has strong Adirondack chair vibes, it's not quite as reclining as a traditional Adirondack chair is. But I do think it would be comfortable reclining the seat back an extra 5 inches or so. The front slat only has 2 pocket holes because this is where the stretcher goes, and I'm about to cut a 5-degree angle on the front edge to match the chairs. And if you don't have a table saw, you could use a circular saw for that cut, but I just used that tool because it's quick and accurate. After that, I could knock my piece into place and glue and clamp it before screwing everything down. And I did use pocket holes for the seat slats just because I wanted them hidden and I didn't want too many through dowels on the outside of the chair frame. And on this back seat slat, I made a measurement 1/2 inch up on either end, and this is the angle that the slats will set. That way it's not just a flat back. This should be more comfortable. And here you can see how my circular saw is set at 15 degrees to match the back angle. This will help our 2 popsicle stick back boards sit flush and screw into this board to be strong. And this piece was a very snug fit, but I was able to knock it into place and then pocket screw it down. So far, this project has been surprisingly challenging. I definitely should have made a SketchUp model of this first. But now we're on to a new exciting section of this build. We need to make our back popsicle sticks. And just like all of my boards, I cut these oversized. I definitely want to avoid this. I wanted to do my best to use clean lumber. That way I got that nice luxury vibe that the original chairs we're referencing also have. This might just be kiln-dried pine, but I was shocked to see that the $4,000 chair that West Elm sells is also made from pine. It may be heat-treated pine, but still, it's pine, and that's crazy. Now I can put this in place and clamp it to find out exactly how long I want to cut this board to. All of these steps were one of the fun parts of building this project. I am very used to doing a 3D model of a project before I build it, so it's more just like assembling a puzzle. This looks awesome, and I probably shouldn't do this. Oh, that's gonna be comfortable, I can feel it. I can't put weight on them, but that's gonna be comfortable. And even though I like the look of the longer back piece, I need to cut it to match my shorter piece that I was avoiding knots and bad grain on. And I decided to add this spacer block onto the sides of each of my slats so that there would be a positive stop, offsetting it where I needed it to rest. It just doesn't look pretty. I don't want the seat at a 45-degree angle, and as you can tell, we pivot from 25 to 32.5 degrees here. So we've got about a 7.5-degree back recline. Let's screw them in. When I build more of these chairs, I'm gonna do a 10-degree back slope instead of a 7.5-degree back slope. The look and feel of this recline is great, but I would have it just a little bit further back. It would be a tiny bit more comfortable, and I think it would even look a little bit cooler with the tops of the popsicle sticks on the back almost being at the exact same spot as the popsicle stick ends on the long legs. I guess that's one of the upsides of doing a 3D model is you get to see it before you build it, and that's cool. Okay, that's locked in for now. I can take off these clamps and now start worrying about our armrest that's also the back support. 19.5, and it's the same on this side. And on the inside towards the back, it'll be 17.25 wide. I'll be cutting the 2 armrests on either side a little bit long, just like all the other important pieces on this project. But we do know the length for our back stretcher, which is 15.25. The actual opening width that these need to end up being is 17.25, but I want to create a radius on this inside corner. So to be able to do that, I'm going to be cutting away 1 inch of material on each armrest on the inside edge. The back stretcher piece is going to be pocket holed to the armrests underneath. These won't be very visible, but I'll still put a couple plugs in the holes. That way it hides even better. And because this is an end grain to edge grain glue up, I used a lot of glue. But by clamping these pieces to my work table while I was pocket screwing them, they really weren't able to shift around and they stayed really flush. And before I cut any of this, I'm gonna make sure that my cut lines match the spacing on the chair frame. It's perfect. Let's cut. I used a combination of my circular saw and jigsaw for these cuts. I just stayed as close to the line as I could to get straight, clean cuts, knowing that I'm gonna come back with my random orbit sander to make this look even nicer. And you can see here how the profile on this back piece matches the profile on the seat back piece where the popsicle sticks meet. They've got that same compound angle so that the back boards sit flush. And finally, it was time to check the fit, the moment of truth. I think it's just about perfect. So I'll mark this arm where I want to cut it flush with the rest of this frame. It ended up being a 15-degree angle, so that's what I set on my circular saw, and I used my speed square to make sure that these ends were cut at 90 degrees. And they lined up. I was pumped. It's gonna be perfect. To attach the armrests to the legs, I drilled 4 recessed screw heads. That way it was a little bit of a design touch instead of just the minimum necessary. I also used 2.5-inch long coated screws for these connections, and then I made sure that everything was sitting at the same height referencing the table, and then screwed the back of this armrest assembly into the back popsicle stick boards. Woo! I think we've done it. All I know is I want to sit in this chair and see if it's comfortable. Should I let the glue dry? Here we go. Oh, dang. This feels legit. I think I would make the armrest maybe like 1 inch higher. Aside from that, this is surprisingly comfortable. Okay, the chair is built. Now we just need to get it cleaned up. But first, I want to give a big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring today's episode. Your one-stop shop to build your own website or online store, and that has never been easier with Squarespace's cutting-edge design tools like Blueprint AI, Squarespace's next-generation AI-enhanced website builder. And Squarespace sites have tons of cool features like SEO integration. They do all the complicated back-end work to make sure that you show up more often on search engines, leading to new clients. And with Squarespace invoices, you can get paid faster and impress those clients with on-brand invoices. And streamline your workflow from proposals to contracts, invoices, and seamless online payments all in one place. And last but not least, with Squarespace email campaigns, you've got all the tools you need to engage your clients, promote your services, and build your business built in. So to learn more, make sure and follow my link down in the description. That's squarespace.com/modernbuilds. And then when it's time to make your new site live, don't forget to use my code ModernBuilds for 10% off your first site, store, or domain through Squarespace. As always, huge thanks to Squarespace, you all for watching, and now let's finish up this chair project. The first step in finishing this chair is backfilling all of the holes that we used for our recessed screw connections. This is a 3/8-inch dowel, and it's the same thing as a pocket hole bit. I just add a glob of glue into each hole and then use a hammer to knock the dowels into place. Now make sure you let this glue dry before you trim these flush with a flush trim saw. That way you don't get the teeth of your saw all gunked up. And I know that before sanding, this looks like a total mess, but once we get some 120 grit and then 180 grit sanding done on this chair, it's gonna be a world of difference. The last step in this chair is applying a little bit of finish, and it is done. I really think that this chair design is awesome. Do I think it's worth $4,000? Heck no. But it does look really great, and it's a fun, whimsical, modern take on an Adirondack chair. To me, it seems like somebody saw a popsicle stick and had a light bulb moment where they wanted to incorporate that aesthetic into a chair, and I totally think it's a success. But what do you think? And we'll see you next time on Modern Builds.